another fine, beautiful morning for MimiQA. Welcome, all of those who are listening. I hope you are enjoying the latest sounds. And this is a shameless plug now. For if you do like my random rubbish, then search for MimikyuMark, all one word, on wherever you get your music. Actually, the likes of sort of Spotify, Apple Music, so on. All of that, it does contain my rubbish. So go and give it a browse. Tell me if you like it. Tell me if you don't. Uh, it's much appreciated. But yes, I am here back again, and today we have a tale of woe. We have a tale of woe. Poor MiniMimi, and I almost get that name wrong every time. So poor MiniMimi has had, unfortunately, quite a bad episode with their appendix. Yes, so many have this particular issue, but MiniMimi, it's hit them this time around. Now, what happened? Well, you know what? On that last market where I was here, unfortunately, MiniMimi had been ill and sent home from school early on a Friday. On the Saturday, they were going through sickness, and it just looked like a tummy bug. I mean, these things just start off like tummy bugs. It's so insidious when you sort of think about it. But yeah, it just started off like a tummy bug, and essentially we just didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to do, so we took her to, well, we initially we called the lovely 111 service, and the lovely 111 service said, "Don't worry, we've got you. Go to a particular." I'm not going to name the various hospitals, but they said go to this particular hospital, and this is your emergency walk-in, your local emergency walk-in. So we went there. We went there straight away. You know what? I've got to stop now and say I love the NHS. Absolutely love the NHS. I think we've probably got one of the one of the nicest healthcare systems on the planet, and certainly it's a model for other nations to follow. Without naming any other nations where you've got to buy your own independent insurances and so on. Otherwise, you don't get seen at all. But at the point of use, for those who don't know, the National Health Service, the NHS, is absolutely free. It is absolutely, you just turn up at the point of use and you use it. I mean, yes, people do have their own private medical healthcare, and usually that gets you past sort of queues and things if you're waiting for certain scans. But if there's ever an emergency, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you're from, the NHS is absolutely there for you. So they are an absolute amazing service. However, sometimes, and your frustrations because things are not necessarily going well, especially when you've got a young child. There are frustrations that play out, and sometimes we do see that in our healthcare system. So we were at the initial first, and I say initial, you can kind of see where this is going. We're at the initial hospital. We walked in, and straight away there were announcements of it's all full, there's no more appointments today. And we're obviously looking confused because we got sent there because it was apparently fine. And thankfully we got through triage, and the lovely nurse there managed to do what they do and have a little look and say, okay, you definitely need an appointment today. However, they've got no appointments left. So we were sent to hospital number 2. Bearing in mind this is on a Saturday, sort of through the day. The poor thing hadn't eaten. She wasn't feeling like they needed food. So a poor, starving MiniMimi and scared parents ended up going to hospital number 2, a good sort of 20-minute drive away. So we went to hospital number 2, a great hospital, a brand new hospital. We walked in there, we walked through their A&E department, and then you get directed, with your notes and everything, you get directed to a lovely pediatric department, which is separate, and I can see why they keep it separate. The actual trauma that goes on in that main A&E is absolutely crazy, and our health service has to deal with that type of thing day in, day out, let alone on these busy days. So it was absolutely traumatizing. I could go on and say there were people with their face caved in. There were people walking around barefoot. There were people. It was absolutely crazy. It was absolutely crazy. However, we went through to the pediatric bit, which thankfully there wasn't many people waiting there. Other poor individuals of very young ages, sometimes virtually newborn. Obviously, so there's the odd cry and so on. So it can be stressful, even in its own different way. but we were there. They were seeing the right people. Now, we were there. They wanted to take blood tests. They wanted to put cannulas in. They wanted to do all sorts to poor little MiniMimi. And we found out there's an increase, and this I don't know if there's a little bit of news, but certainly in our particular area of the United Kingdom, and there is an increase in appendicitis. So straight away they were suspecting appendicitis, which is great. Okay, which is great. At least they're looking out for the right thing to begin with. Okay, so they suspected appendicitis. Now, this is going on in a time where I had recently had a tummy bug, so I was bad. So this could have kicked it off. And other people in the northeast have really, really, really bad tummy bugs. Now, that sometimes clouds judgments. Now, we don't want to say my judgment, I don't know, but we're there just going, what is wrong? Is it a tummy bug? Is it a tummy bug, or is it this suspected appendicitis? Because surely she would have this crazy pain. And we spent so long in hospital number 2, even all the way up through to through the Sunday. So she'd been in on the Friday, came in on the Saturday. We went all the way through sort of Sunday, and we were getting quite late on into the Sunday. And they were trying to get tests, and trying to get scans, and the amount of times the sonic scans were sort of run, the sonar scans were run, and they couldn't find the appendix. Now, in hindsight, if you can't find it, it's not a good sign, right? However, they are small, okay? Completely get it. But when you've got doctors who are failing to find the appendix, it is quite an interesting thing to witness. Yes, this episode is going to be about poor MiniMimi. we will get onto some genuine TCG stuff in a moment. I'll try to be as quick as possible. I think I'm just trying to reflect. I think I'm going to use this moment alone on a Sunday morning, a beautiful time off market, ready to go, or nearly ready to go, ready to set up, having a bit of a whinge. So thank you for listening. For those who do, for those of single, triple, quadruple digits who are listening, thank you very much. And I will make MiniMimi listen to this when they are older and they're able to process it. So we are there in a hospital, number 2, on a Sunday, and they can't find the appendix. Getting quite bad now, getting worse, getting pains. Obviously, they can't describe their pain. When you get told 1 to 10, they don't know. They've not been around this planet long enough, or thankfully, they don't understand. So they're there trying to describe their pain, and we ended up on a Sunday getting admitted overnight. So MiniMimi, obviously me, and Mrs. MimikyuMark was there at a hospital staying overnight, and we're being told, okay, we need to get her in for keyhole surgery. However, we don't do operations on weekends. And this absolutely blew my rocker. It blew my mind. Blew my mind. The only operations they do on a weekend is with one theatre, and that's when it's desperately, desperately needed. There aren't enough staff around to support, and there aren't enough theatres to support regular operations at a weekend. I was absolutely stunned. Absolutely stunned. And this is Hospital 2, and eventually when we get to a Hospital 3. So the Hospital 3 that we went to, amazing, absolutely amazing, but they're in the same position. They don't do surgeries routinely at weekends, even though we've got a suspected burst appendix. So poor MiniMimi was on antibiotics for this period of time, just to try and stave off any further infection or any issues. Their infection blood markers were high. We nearly got sent home at some point until Mrs. MimikyuMark decided to turn around and say, hold on a second, can we get reblood at hospital number 2? And they said, oh, actually, yes, you're right, Mrs. MimikyuMark. Your blood markers have actually increased. So you must go to hospital number 3, who's your local regional sort of specialist. So we ended up going to hospital number 3 on certainly we were there on the Sunday night into the Monday morning. So we stayed over on the Saturday night, I should say, and then at hospital number 2. And then Sunday night, we were hospital number 3. Now, hospital number 3, they've seen us first thing, straight away, on the Monday morning, and MiniMimi had keyhole surgery. And the poor little thing, the first time they've been put to sleep, it was such a sad moment. But they got to it. I remember being put to sleep, but I was relatively young, okay. And they say, count back from, you know, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or count up, or do whatever you do, tell a story, whatever, okay. And then you kind of drift away within seconds, and you feel this thing go up your arm. Now they get little smells to do. So she had a poor mask on, and they said, "Oh, do you want go all these different smells? Got like a strawberry smell, blueberry smell." She wanted Fanta. There was a particular brand. Okay, it was a particular brand. However, other brands were available, and yes, they had this kind of the fizzy orange smell in their mask, and they're like, oh, "Okay, can you?" I thought it was going to be, we just put this magic stick on, and it's whatever you want it to be. Just give it a big sniff and see if you and see if you can tell. And no, 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 it was actual smells. I thought they were going to trick the poor MiniMimi. However, they went to sleep. We were waiting a couple of hours, and it turned out their appendix had actually burst, and that's why they couldn't find it, probably. So yes, it had burst, and it had been burst longer than what they were actually ill for, which is quite disturbing, because you can end up with sepsis and all that horrible stuff. However, yeah, so yes, so burst appendix. It apparently was quite bad. They needed a lot of cleaning up, but keyhole surgery was all that was required. So the poor thing got glued back together, three holes, and they go through the belly button and all of that sort of stuff. And yes, so keyhole surgery, come out, and then we had a week in hospital number 3. So we were there. Well, it was just over a week, really. I mean, we were there on the through the Sunday night into the Monday, and then we stayed. Me and Mrs. MimikyuMark, we stayed there all the way through till the following Saturday. And whilst Mini Mimi was on antibiotics and all sorts of things, and paracetamols, and she had her own morphine, and she could press a button, and then the morphine got delivered straight to her. So that was amazing. I've never seen an 8-year-old be able to press a button every 10 minutes and get some morphine. So that was interesting. And yeah, they had all sorts of stuff, but it wasn't a very nice experience. We made sure, though, her first meal when she came to, bearing in mind she hadn't eaten for a couple of days properly, her first meal at request was a McDonald's. Now I went into a certain city centre, and you can probably work out where we were now. We ended up in the RVI. I could say that. So the Royal Victoria Infirmary, where all of our specialists are here in and around Newcastle. Amazing hospital. It was a glorious hospital. However, MiniMimi, she didn't want hospital food. She wanted a McDonald's. Okay, so she wanted this takeaway food. That was her choice, not my choice. I'm not advertising it. That's just exactly what happened. So I ended up going, okay, I will venture out and get you a McDonald's. I went into Newcastle. I went through what was probably the nicest walk I have ever taken, considering the circumstances. So when you come out of the RVI, you turn left and sort of right straight away, and you've got the main sort of Newcastle University buildings, which are big old buildings. They've probably been there a very, very long time. I won't do them justice by trying to guess how long they've been there, but probably as old as this station that we're in now at Tynemouth Market. So we're talking probably Victorian era, or even earlier. But anyway, so we were, or I should say, on my venture for a McDonald's, walked through what looked like a shortcut from the RVI to, heading towards Northumberland Street, which is where I thought that there was a McDonald's, or there has been a McDonald's ever since I was young. And there was this little, it was just like a secret garden entrance. It was just like a little archway that you kind of walked through, and it was a crazy angle, so you couldn't quite tell, what was on the other side of it, because it was going in between buildings. And when I walked through it, it was like one of these little outdoor areas in Hogwarts. It was the most beautiful, green and flowers, and it was where the architectural sort of sections are within within Newcastle University. Now, if you don't live around here, you may not know, but there are shortcuts to the university. They are signposted. This is a genuine place. and there was just so many different flowers and things. And when I was just walking through, I always said, "This is the most beautiful thing. I have to bring them here. I have to bring them here." And walk through, end up going past, the church, past to the top of Northumberland Street, where the top where the metro station is, and got to the McDonald's, and it was all being done up. It was all sorts of workforces going on. It all kind of boarded up at the front, and yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's been revamped, maybe it's been torn down. I've got no idea, but it wasn't there. And it's like I cannot fail. I cannot, as an adult with my child, with MiniMimi, just come out of surgery, dying for some lovely food, not get a McDonald's. So I walked to, there is another one past sort of the monument stations and things. So I walked the whole kind of metro station distance, and eventually had to trundle back with the poor things, chicken nuggets that you only have two of, but you still have some chips. Oh, but she absolutely enjoyed it. So that kind of made some memories, and we did make some memories there, playing games and telling stories, and obviously she spent a lot of time asleep. But she is well. She is well. However, on the last day, where I thought, okay, let's show them this beautiful, beautiful area that we'd walk through, or I'd walk through. Let's just before we leave on the Saturday, let's have a little bit of a walk. So they've been in hospital for a week after surgery. They're struggling, but they can walk. They're supposed to be getting some exercise and fresh air. The weather was a little bit cooler, it was a little bit windier. Walked to this area, got just into the area, and it turned out there was a big kind of event where they were trying to find different flowers and insects, and it was just heaving. It was just so busy on the Saturday, and it was colder and it was windier. The poor thing had just come out of hospital. I was like, this is the same effect I was after. So, and at some point, we are going to have to go back to Newcastle University just just to experience that what I experienced, and hopefully we can recreate it on a lovely sunny day. But MiniMimi is back. They've had a week on antibiotics. Hopefully, they're back to school next week. And the sweetest thing was happening. People were sending cards. Obviously, adults, sending cards, but also her friends from school were making their own cards. They were just getting bits of paper, coloring in. Her and her friends. They're so cute. So a shout out to MiniMimi's friends, who have been so wonderful and so supportive at this horrible time that MiniMimi is going through. And yes, that is the somber moment. So over. So anyway, so MiniMimi is absolutely fine. They should be back to school. I'm going to be dragging them back to Tynemouth Market at some point, and we will get MiniMimi back here on the podcasts in the near future. But don't worry, they are well. I've got to stress that so much. What else has been going on? A quick brief before we kind of end this particular session. So on our Star Wars events, we've had a lovely league going on at Northumbrian Tin Soldier, and we have had the store champion crowned. I have created the golden gonk, so I've 3D printed off a trophy, and that trophy is going to the winner of that particular event, and it stays in the store, but we sort of put their name on it. And in all future leagues, we're going to get just a quick printed off. This is the person who won it, and we're going to stick it on the trophy. It's like a little plaque. They've got a golden sprayed item that they take home. They've got a golden coin they take home, and all of the usual participants, they got to take away some stuff as well. So it was all really, really sort of lovely and nice. And I want to do it again. I mean, I didn't score particularly high. However, I was kind of mid-table, not too bad. However, looking at the future Ashes of the Empire store championships, which are in a few months' time, the champion cards and the sort of finalist cards and so on. So I think it's the top 8 cards. Or you get the 8 top 8s, 4 top 4s, and you get a finalist and the actual champion card. They are all of the baby Grogu inside the I think it was the IG-11 or IG-88 or IG-87, whatever the IG unit was in the Mandalorian and Grogu sort of series, where it's kind of walking around in its in its suit saying yes, 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 yes. So we're seeing it saying yes and no's. So that is an absolutely amazing alternate art card that we would absolutely love to have. So I've got to do well, because if you get champion, then you get the champion, you get the finalist, you get the top four, and you get the top eight. So you get like a complete play set. So or you get the champion, you get the I think it must be the top eight and top four. So you end up with a complete play set, and it's such an amazing stable card. It's not just a cute card; it's also a very playable card. And the standard promo for the event is a Harrison Dueler, which looks like another amazing card from the Ahsoka series. So again, great cards. So yes, amazing times to come. We will also have a Premier League coming up for the Premier event. So we did an Eternal format, and now we're doing the Premier format. Twin Suns. So Twin Suns news. We'll have an upcoming tournament at Northumbrian Tin Soldier, and they are also looking at changing venues. So fingers crossed, the Twin Suns event might coincide with a venue change, possibly. But the Twin Suns, I have managed to get some custom art for a mat, which is a 6 foot by 4 foot mat. It's come through. A little bit smelly from the printing process, but it's currently airing out. But the mat is coming through, and that looks absolutely amazing. I've got a 6-player mat. If you look on my various social medias, you will see the art on there by a guy I know called Tom, who goes by the name Beardy Knave, and for his art, and commissioned it. Paid the guy amazing art. So you're going to try and get him into Star Wars 2, which is great. Hopefully he does that, and we might get more mats commissioned and sort of printed off for our events and things. So that will be great to have the 4 to 6 player, large events, or even 2 pods of 3 on that massive mat playing side by side. It will be glorious. It'll be great. So that was another good thing. We've also just had the recent release in the Star Wars world. We've just had the release of the Marvel superhero set. Now I've managed to get some lovely cards. Got a lovely Black Widow. I've got World War Hulk cards. I've not managed to get the Mind Stone, which is the latest, Soul Stone of this particular set. So the Infinity Stones. So with the Spider-Man set, there was the Soul Stone. It's a good, even just a normal art now, it's like a 40, 50 pound card. So it's going to be the same for the Mind Stone. People trying to collect the stones. And it is absolutely glorious, the set. It's great. And, they've stuck with the cartoon arts. It's lovely. I spent a fortune on collector boosters already, but never pulled a big enough card to justify spend at the moment. But I do have cards here for sale at Time Off Market. Also trying to get rid of some of my older cards, like from the Spider-Man set, where I've got an Eddie Brock Venom, and I've got a Peter Parker Spider-Man, sort of comic book cards. So I've got those to go as well at Time Off Market. Also, been going through some various cards, and I think it's time for my Hatsune Miku cards to go through a sale. I know that at the moment there is some hype, because there is going to be a Hatsune Miku deck that's going to be released. So there is a little bit of hype on the older, year or two ago Hatsune Miku cards. So unfortunately, I don't think I can justify keeping them. So they are up for grabs. I've also got some of my MimiQ cards in my binder this week. And we've got some brilliant things. I've still got some Chaos Rising cards, got some mystery packs. Great things, as usual, at Time Out Market. Oh, my goodness. So much in the news. We have Pitch Black, which is the next, I think it's Abyss Eye, I think is the Japanese name for this set. So Pitch Black is the next big set to come out, which looks like it's got some amazing, beautiful cards in there. People are already going crazy for the big hits in that set. Now, if you know the set, there is a beautiful Darkrai in this set. So the Mega Darkrai EX, a beautiful card, and I think everybody is going to want it. That is the big hit. However, there's a beautiful SIR Morpeko in that set that is looking proper hangry, running sort of towards the person sort of viewing the card, and it again, another amazing card that is probably going to be a kind of a slow burner, a good one for the future. So lots of great cards in that set. Another small set, another collector set. However, some beautiful cards within said set. So that'll be great. So hopefully we'll get a number of those boxes opened. We might try and do some live. We'll certainly try and do some recorded openings, and we'll get them to you guys out on the social media world. And this probably brings me close to the end as we're preparing to get ready for Time Off Market. I will get this thing published ASAP. I know there's a lot of people out there listening to these podcasts, so thank you so much for continuing, the hundreds and hundreds of people who will continue to listen in. So thank you so much. It does mean a lot for sort of small casters like myself who just do this as a hobby. We don't do it as a as a main income. In my lovely new jobs on the side are still going well, and they've been so supportive through this whole period. So to keep this hobby going now that MiniMimi is back is absolutely a wonderful thing to do. So thank you so much for being so supportive. We will try and do more. We'll try and get some more out there. Please do listen to the music that comes out. And thank you so much for being amazing. Now take care, have a great time, and come down to Time Off Market. Love you all.